Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I have an unexpected kind of different video for you. I heard this statement. It was from somebody in the Department of Corrections. It doesn't really matter what they were talking about. It's the sentence that I heard. If you go woke, you go broke. Now, I'm not saying who agreed with it, who did not. It's the statement. If we go woke, we go broke. So I thought rather than hearing the opinion I have, which I have a lot of opinions, obviously, I always do, I thought it would be interesting to get somebody that is incarcerated currently to give their opinion. So I have my loved one give his opinion on just that statement, just to see what it is, not raising any controversial us versus them or anything else, just an opinion. And I'm curious what you guys think of that sentence, that statement. So before we go in, I hope that you watch the video. Leave your comments in the section below. I'm just curious what everybody thinks. And don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, because that lets me know if you like these kind of videos.
I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
So we've recently seen a video where Heidi Stewart, the acting director of the DOC in Oregon, said a statement of, we can't go woke or we'll go broke.
You go woke, you go broke.
Now, I have somebody that is currently incarcerated in the Oregon DOC. And what do you think of that statement?
I think that statement is amazingly funny, because to make a statement that you can't go woke because you'll go broke implies that you have to spend money to actually wake up the people, educate them and all of that. When you don't, if this Department of Corrections itself actually had the unification that it's supposed to according to their OERs in specific areas such as clubs. You have a club down at OSP where they have the Native Americans, they have the Asian Pacific, they have the Uhuru Salsa for the blacks and stuff like that. And you have, other clubs that's in there that touch, on every race and everything else to teach about cultures and teach about histories and actually teaches them about business stuff and, other things like that. And how these clubs actually sustain themselves is not with DOC's money or help in that sense. They financially fund their own selves, because in the DOC in Oregon, they're allowed to fundraise, which means they can sell certain products that's not sold on Canteen. They can, get certain kind of food that they can order, say, such as Popeyes and stuff like that. And DOC actually, capitalizes off of that when they do these fundraisers, because a certain portion has to go to the Department of Corrections when they do that. And then we take the rest of the funding and we purchase the materials or the things that we need in these clubs. And I speak as we because I was a part of the Uhuru Salsa Club and I was the legal coordinator for the club. So in such, I had to oversee all aspects of the club to make sure that we were in compliance with, state and federal laws, and Oregon state laws. And so when you hear somebody like that make a statement, just tells you how detached they are from the realities of what's really going on. You don't need money to have several prisoners that bought books on things, whether it's business, history, or whatever. All they need is the space within DOC to talk and be able to hold a class to teach these kids or teach some of these older people that are in here. So to make that statement, it's extremely crazy, to make.
Do you think there's a lack of programs, especially in the rest of the facilities compared to OSP, for example?
Absolutely, 100% there is. Because you come up here to Snake River and you don't have nothing. I was here last year and I was a part of a peer committee in which, we did the same similar things as OSP. They didn't want to call it clubs and stuff like that. They wanted to call them committees. And I was, a part of raising funds for, kids on the streets that were less fortunate for, backpack material for school supplies and all. We raised $17,500 were approved to actually fundraise to everybody. So if we actually fundraised to everybody, because this is one of the largest prisons in the state of Oregon, we probably could have raised easily probably about 30 grand or more, if they would allow us to do it, the way we wanted to. And that's immense when you're talking about giving back to the community. These are prisoners that's giving back to the communities, children, that's invaluable. That makes people in here, such as myself, when I was a part of that, feel great. The part that I didn't like was when I was ostracized and kicked out unlawfully. My name wasn't even mentioned in any of the process, and I was one of the key people on the board of dealing with this issue. And so, I didn't even get no kind of credit for the work I even put in, and I felt a extreme sense of pride in doing that. Just like when I went to OSP and I became, the legal coordinator of the Uhuru Salsa Culture Club, I actually sat with law professors from the University of Oregon and their students and had conversations and had plans for them to come back in underneath one of my programs that I was creating called Penitentiary Law 101 to help the prisoners understand the system, understand rules and regulations and how to, enforce their rights and, things like that and get what they're entitled to, not just in prison, but outside prison, because a lot of them don't realize that streets, a lot of the organizations and state agencies run exactly the same way the DOC runs. Their policies are similar, and they don't know how to look for these policies, or if they're denied, who do you go to next? And this is where these programs become invaluable, because if you wake them up in that sense, when they get out, the recidivism rate is less because they have something to look forward to.
So let me just clarify this, because I think for most people, this is not a simple thing. You mean you guys do not get 3 lobster meals a day and unlimited video games? You actually do something else?
Yeah. You actually have the opportunity to make yourself. Like, I was a part of a program down there in OSP. Me and several other brothers named Stone and a couple other guys that are still down there in Uhuru right now. And McClintock, he ran a program dealing with finances and teaching people how to deal with their finances and stuff like that. I took his course, great course, very good teacher, and he's inspired me to want to get into all that. And that's the thing. They're actually actively trying to stop guys from doing stuff. They were targeting the youth. The very people we were trying to get up there onto the activities floor to get into these classes. They would target them and give them little BS tickets or felons and things like that to demote them on a level off the ID from being a white tag, level 2, to a red tag, which is level 1, and they're not allowed to get these kind of educational benefits that we created. We created a program that not only teaches you what programs and services are out there in the community for you, but also teach you how to establish all of that now before you went home. And we also went a step further to showing the prisoners what programs DOC has that they can learn trades from and all of this stuff. Because when they take you to A&O, which is like a questioning type of thing and answering thing, they just skim the surface of these programs. They really don't tell you nothing. And what we did is decided we were going to make a specialized, stuff, and we ran it on the TV down there and all that, so all the prisoners could see it in the prison. And we had tremendous feedback from every single prisoner in that place. Didn't matter the race. Everybody was coming up there for help, and we was giving it to them. They don't have that here in Snake River. And from what I'm told in all these other facilities, they don't either. When you come out what they call out east, Snake River, Two Rivers, and all these places, it's warehousing. When you're in a housing unit in Snake River, you're in the day room. You have to sit at a table. You cannot get up and walk around, even if your legs are going numb from sitting in a seat. They trip out on you if you have certain things that you take outside the cell to, to actually teach other guys stuff, depending on the officer, because they make the rule as they go. So it's almost impossible to educate guys. I do it through word of mouth. I sit them down and I have the ability to connect with these young kids, and they listen to me. But that only goes so far. I mean, when I left here last year in March, we actually had stuff set up for Black History that I went through a counselor that was here named Cross, who has since retired, a Black officer. And they had no Black History stuff up here going on or anything. And I actually got them to do the first Black History thing up here. They tailored it down to only like 8 or 9 people, but, I had to get somewhere and start somewhere. I had guys after that course come and tell me that they wanted more because they learned stuff about themselves that they didn't know, and it gave them a different sense of pride of who they are as a man and as a person. That's the woke.
Okay, and that goes with my question. Do you think people see the word woke in a different way? Everybody has their own.
Yes, I think it's because people have made the hotbed in this country, with the whole defund the police and all of that different kinds of things. Then you have the stuff over there in Florida with the school systems and, all of the stuff that's been touched, in this country and all over the news. So people get a bad taste in their mouth about these types of things. And, the sad reality is, if you actually look at what they're saying, yes, some people say take the money completely from police and all that. I don't agree with that. You do need police to a certain degree. What I think I take from that and what some people are saying is, let's take some of that money and stop arming them with military grade equipment, which brings a whole different mentality in itself on that. And let's take some of that money and put it in different resources. We have a major problem in this country with mental illnesses, from young to old. I myself suffer from severe mental illnesses that aren't seriously even today, even though I've shown the Department of Corrections my diagnoses and everything else from my evaluations. If you have qualified individuals to treat these people, you will need less officers, because the truth is, everybody wants to say that police prevent crimes. When in reality, they just respond to it. They don't prevent nothing. Sometimes they do, I won't take it away from them. But majority of the times, they're actually responding to something. It's already transpired. And then if you got an officer going there that doesn't know how to deal with somebody with mental illness, severe mental illness, he doesn't understand what's going on. Even if that man has a knife in his hand, doesn't mean he's going to kill somebody or hurt somebody. He just may be so lost in his mind that he doesn't know what he's doing. And if you're not educated enough to be able to talk them down, well, they're going to shoot him.
Well, in fairness,
same thing that goes on in here.
Yeah, in fairness, they are called first responders for that reason, not medical professionals.
Well, that's why I said we need to start arming them with that kind of help. Same thing in DOC. This happens all the time. I've witnessed myself, a guy next door to me twice get distracted and beat down. And to this day, I still don't know what's going on, and nobody goes there and sees. He's been here as long as I've been here, months. Something mentally is going on wrong with the guy. He doesn't speak to nobody, never says anything. And this is the thing I'm talking about. They don't do anything. Even in this program that's called IMU that I'm in, you do not have any real programming. 90% of the program that I was given was about drug addiction. I don't have a drug addiction problem. I don't use drugs. I don't drink. And yet, everything that I'm given is talking about drug addiction. I can't even equate to the material that they're giving me because I don't suffer from the problems that they're trying to say. And you don't come out for any classes. You don't get the mental health come around and ask you how you're doing at your door and barely really talks to you. So these are the problems, that are in the system that can be solved. And, you don't have to use a lot of money for it. Just put a little pride in your work. Stop and ask the guy what's going on. Are you okay?
So we're looking at statistics, and we know 95% approximately of prisoners will come home and will be your next door neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
So it does not affect, and that affects who you live next door to. Mm-hmm.
That's a dangerous thing because a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of guys get tortured. This is the unspoken side of things. They're in places like I am now, and you have certain officers, because of whatever led them to come into the IMU, might be assaulting an officer. And it could have been because of a mental illness that they didn't want to address. And he couldn't control himself. And they treat him bad here. They're poking and prodding him, disrespecting him, not feeding him, doing all kinds of stuff that they shouldn't be doing. And it's virtually almost impossible to prove that, that they're doing to them. Or in my situation, playing with mail and not giving it to me, or giving it to me late, or just, whatever, they're lying about it altogether. Or blocking family members from, even sending emails to them and things of that nature. When that guy comes home, he's more worse than he went in because he hasn't gotten any help. And all he's had is more psychological torture while he was in here. So it's I equated all this oftentimes, and I've said this to many of my loved ones, that, you go to work, some people lock their dog in the bathroom because they don't want them to, urinate or jump or bite up things in the house. And when you come home, the dog knows you're there. And when you go to open the bathroom door, the dog goes crazy, jumps up on you, is trying to lick you, then he runs all over the damn house and goes crazy. Well, that's a prisoner. When you lock them in like that and they feel like they're being tortured and all, they come flying out of here like a bat out of hell and insane. And 9 out of 10 times they come back to prison because they don't even know how to adjust. There's no adjustment periods for a lot of these guys. I've seen guys come from IMU, straight from IMU, a 23-hour lockdown, go to OSP's DSU, and then discharge from there and go home. You just sent the man that just spent months basically in solitary confinement straight out to the community. How is that helpful to any community?
So officially the title of rehabilitation has become more habilitation than anything else, correct?
Yeah, rehabilitation has gone away a long time ago. I've been in the system long enough to know, almost 25 years now, and rehabilitation has gone away since the 90s, when a lot of the funding went away. So once a lot of the funding went away, that's when all of that stuff went away. And, that's the sad reality of it. When a lot of the funding was taken away from prisons and reallocated somewhere else, it was the prisoners that suffered the most, because when I first started coming into prison when I was a young kid, there was a little bit of stuff that helped you, but it quickly went away. And now it's just about warehousing no matter where you're at in the country for the most part. I will give Oregon credit, though. Their system is a lot better than a lot of the places I've seen and been, to a certain degree. You do have a lot of good people here that want to help people. You know what I mean? It's just their hands are tied as well with the system and the powers that be. Personally, I think that, it starts from the very, very top, from the director down. The director has to hold each facility to a certain standard and a certain standard of practice of running their facilities. It can't be a free-for-all. This state has a problem where you go from one jail to the next and the rules are completely different, even though the rule says you're supposed to operate one way. And that's where a lot of the problems and confusions come in, because each superintendent runs their facility like it's their own personal fiefdom. And that's where the drama comes, because he says he don't want the program. There's nothing that can be done. You write to the higher-ups, and they refer you right back down to them. And you're just chasing your tail.
Okay, well, here's an obvious, or a dumb question, I don't know which one, but the lack of programs, the idea of housing people in places like IMUs. Why? What's the point of it?
Well, technically speaking, they say it's, because of behavior and things like that. Although, a lot of times it's not behavior. It has nothing to do with behavior. Some of the guys that are in here shouldn't even be here. Then there's that, they do get paid. They do get paid a certain amount of money for having these kind of programs. That's where federal funding comes in for these types of things. And it's not just Oregon, so it's not a slight towards them. It's throughout the country. If you want additional fundings for certain things like these kind of programs, you got to have a certain amount of bodies in here. There is a need to a certain degree for these places. But if you're going to do it, you have to actually be doing something to help them. Just warehousing them in here is not going to do anything. I think one of the biggest misconceptions I think a lot of the officials and that are in charge of things have is, just lock them over there, they won't do it again. It's actually the opposite. The first time you lock somebody in there, if you actually gave them a lot of programs the right way and all of that, they probably wouldn't come back. But once a person goes into SAG and into IMUs more than one time, it has no effect anymore because they became acclimated to it. And they don't really care about being in there because they know what to expect now. They know you're just going to make me sit there. And that's wrong. I think there's so many ways you can reach these guys and get them involved. I think it's just that, their fear of allowing people like me, myself, to get these clubs started is what holds them back and hinders them actually in this process. Because like this jail in Snake River was largely, when it was first created, was for sex offenders. So they have a very huge population of sex offenders. And they got a problem with them getting jumped on all the time and assaulted by guys. And one of the reasons is because of the way they run things and because they don't understand the mentality that goes into some of these prisoners. And they create and foster the environment for it to keep happening. If they would just actually sit down with somebody such as myself and talk and have a real candid conversation and not just look at, that he's a prisoner or that, he has a bad background, and just listen to some of the ideas. Believe it or not, you would make a lot more difference in a lot of these guys' lives and change their thinking, because a lot of these guys are listening to idiots that don't know their head from their butt. And that's the truth. And that's the problem. When you get people from my kind of community, if I speak with them, they don't take that as a threat. They don't take it as anything because they know where it's coming from. They know they can see and identify what the issue is, and then they talk to you, and they can resolve the issue. That is the reason why you have to have inclusivity inside of the system like that, because not everybody's used to dealing with that. I've actually spoken with a couple officers that are decent people, human beings, and one of them had told me specifically, he was like, Joe, they talk so much about you, about how bad you are. He's like, but you're actually a good guy. You're very kind. You try to help out anybody that it is that's around you. And he was like, I can honestly say, you're the first black guy that I ever actually talked to in my life because I didn't grow up with any of them. And, I had a stigmata about you guys, and meeting you changed my whole personality and thought about things. It's that kind of stuff. You got to have these dialogues. You got to create an environment where it's not you versus me. That's the environment you have in this place up here, Snake River. It's a standoff, you versus me. We had a good idea in last year. We was going to do a barbecue on the yard. And we wanted to do this game called Cornhole because, something that a lot of people like. And we wanted to have it to where you paired up prisoners with guards in teams.
Yeah.
Because we believe, the group that I was dealing with at the time, our committee, we believe that, when you start to see somebody as a person, you start to understand things better. You don't just automatically think that this person's this way and that's it. And, that was something that didn't take place the way it should have. That's the disservices I mean. That's why the clubs are so important, because the clubs show inclusivity. By their bylaws, you have to let other people in and stuff like that. You need that in order for people to grow and want to change. You got to open up the dialogues. We opened up one in an OSP last summer where we took all youth and we put 4 of us in there that was old school guys from different walks of life. And we sat them down there and told them, listen, the floor is yours. Let's talk about issues you want to talk about. And we were amazed at the stuff that these young guys wanted to talk about and how they felt. We gave them a platform. And when I seen one of them on the yard, he told me, he said, I respect you. I said, what do you mean, young? And he said, because that feels so good to get that shit off my chest. I've been holding that for years since I've been in prison. But you gave me a place where I can say it and feel safe about it. That wouldn't have happened if your Hulu wasn't around.
True. That's true.
And that's what I mean. We got to stop running from change, running from things that you're scared of because you don't know what it is. That hurts everybody in this country. You know what I mean? The unknown, the fear of the unknown. I don't understand why people run from it so much. Like people ran from that whole thing the superintendent at OSP was doing, Kelly. When Brandon Kelly was doing what he was doing with the whole Norway model and all of that stuff, people talk so bad about it, other officers and all that other stuff, because they never really understood what he was trying to do. He was just saying, listen, treat them like people. They're going to act like people. When you release them back to the community, they're going to want to do something good. You treat them like an animal, they're going to go return back to the communities like animals.
So there's...
Give them a chance to change.
Okay. I get that.
You know from our conversations that, one of the things that bothers me the most is I was 26 when I caught the charges that I caught. Had mental illness. I was having problems that night. And, I've been in jail now almost 25 years. I've learned so much through self-education. And all I want is a chance now is to come home and actually get back to the communities. You know what I mean? And make a difference. Change the people. Get them before they get lost like I did. You know what I mean? And that's the hardest part, is that people don't look at you in that way where they think you can change.
Well, and that would make it better for the staff in terms of a working environment too, on that side.
Absolutely, it would. Absolutely, it does. Absolutely, because if you have a dialogue to where he's having a problem, say, with a black guy, right? And he has a good rapport with me. And he doesn't really want to jam the black guy up. So he comes to me and says, hey, Joseph, this guy's really, I don't want to jam up. Could you go talk to him, man, calm him down? Absolutely. That doesn't happen if we didn't have a relationship.
I agree. So I guess going woke is a good thing.
Yeah, it is. I just think that they got a bad stigmata thinking that they got to spend money. Create clubs. They'll create the revenue to pay for it themselves and put money in the DOC pocket and put the DOC in a better light. Because publicly you can go out there in the media and show the media that this is what we're doing in it. This is what we're fostering with these guys. Not just holding them in a cell and making them sit in a day room doing nothing. There's a reason why Snake River has more assaults than almost any other facility.
Okay.
You got nothing to do here. You got nothing to do here.
All right, so
they fight.
Let's stop on that note because it's going to cut you off.
Yes, it is. Thank you for the opportunity to talk.
Always.
And clear the air.
Always. Well, there we go. I had to cut it short because that phone call was ending. There's only so much phone calls you get from inside the prison. But please leave your comments. I'm curious on what you think on that whole statement, on what's going on in the prison system, the programs, anything like that. And until next time, be safe out there and have a good one. Bye.